Yeah, we're excited to be back at the Ralph here. Was on the road in St. Cloud, a productive weekend last weekend in St. Cloud, and now we come back home here for the stretch run of last 10 games, and we're excited to be back.
After watching back the St. Cloud games, what stood out to you?
Yeah, I think just kind of a pace of our play. I think it was a situation, whether possession on entries or a forecheck, or just the urgency of our five-man units on the ice of creating opportunities off of a strong pace of play, fast pace of play, and that's got to continue on through the rest of the year here of playing to our identity. And I think that's kind of, especially on the big rink in St. Cloud, which is tough to do. I thought our guys did a good job of managing the game that way for the most part.
Is Louis available this weekend?
Louis is available and will play.
What prompted his absence last week?
All I'm saying is he was unavailable last weekend, and he's available this weekend, and he will play this weekend.
Dane Montgomery, is there any chance he's available this weekend?
Yeah, you know what? It's a great question. So Dane's going through practice here. He is he's got an upper body, a little bit upper body that he's dealing with, but I think it's one of those things where some days it feels great and some days it doesn't, and it's a situation where we're hoping that there's consistency of having better days and not good days. And he's a warrior. He's a guy that works extremely hard, but he's also transparent and honest too, of making sure that he doesn't jeopardize the team if he's not ready to play. So again, it's an open line of communication here, and hoping that he can put some days together where we can get him in the lineup.
With Louis and Dane, you have two guys who have played a lot, but you guys played pretty well Saturday night. Yeah. How do you go about trying to make lineup decisions when you played really well and you have regulars that potentially could be coming back?
Yeah, that's a great question. You always want to kind of stick with what's given you success most recently, and we did have success in St. Cloud. But again, I think you have to know that with Louis, he brings obviously an experienced player and leadership and a guy that plays the right way into our group here, and it doesn't go on me as far as our young guys, what they're doing, right, as far as doing a lot of good things. So I think the biggest thing is now that the new rule of playing either an extra forward or extra D, it gives you the luxury of doing that, right, of keeping guys in the lineup and whatever ice time that is that we give them. So, like I said, I think it's a situation, it's a good problem to have, but at the end of the day, you tend to lean on experience as well and guys that have been through the wars and situations of NCHC hockey.
Last year when CC was in Grand Forks, offense didn't come very easy. I mean, even a guy like Jackson Blake, who's in the NHL right now, it wasn't easy for him. How do you make sure guys stick with it if it doesn't come easy this weekend? Yeah,
that's a big thing, and I think that's a thing that we've tried to get better at throughout the season about resiliency and response when momentum shifts happen. But I think it's just trusting on how we play, and the little subtle changes that we made through the open week here hopefully will lend that to a fact of maybe getting some chances early or getting some opportunities early as far as on the offensive end. I'm still a big believer on making sure that there's so many good players in the NCHC that you got to play good defensively. And again, I'm all about offense, scoring goals, but at the end of the day offense usually generates from being good at play away from the puck on tracking and situations where it gives you an opportunity to have the puck, and then from there it's about puck management. Friday night in St. Cloud, after we killed those two penalties, I didn't think we did a super job of managing pucks and turning over pucks, which led them playing into our end of the rink, and I think that's going to be a big deal as far as managing pucks the right way and having opportunities to make it harder on them.
I know you were playing pro hockey when Brian Swanson was at CC. Were you aware of him and what he was doing at the college level?
Oh, absolutely. Even though I was playing pro, I'd keep tabs of UND and college hockey in general, and he was a guy that was an unbelievable college hockey player and played pro after that as well. But when you see Mack Swanson, you can kind of tell that he's got a lot of similar traits that his dad had, and really skilled, really quick, super smart, intellectual player, and ultra competitive. And again, that's what Brian obviously had, and what he transferred on to Mack. And we're blessed and fortunate to have Mack in our group here.
Do you remember when you found out that Brian Swanson has a kid that's a pretty good hockey player?
Yeah, and it was at actually Fargo Forces camp. We've watched Mack, even youth hockey before that, but he went to Fargo's camp, and he did a tough thing to do as a young guy. Made that team. Fargo's usually a team that's a veteran type team, or kind of guys that have been experienced in their lineup, and he came in and made that team, and he just got exponentially better over the course of his 2 years there. And the USHL is a tough, hard, heavy league, and he flourished, especially his last year in the league.
What's it like prepping for a team that's kind of similar to yours in the sense of splitting goalies, kind of looking from the outside in right now at the tournament?
Yeah, I think both teams are trying to look to build some consistency here of, moving down the stretch here of playing good hockey. And, I know we've flip-flopped goaltenders. They have flip-flopped goaltenders as well. And, I think the biggest thing for us is trying to get some consistency with our group here with lines and deep pairs and different things. And I know early in the season it was tough to do with injuries and stuff, but, and it helps to have a little bit of success this past weekend of trying to build and grow on that. So, I think it's a situation both teams are going to be looking towards nothing more than Friday night and trying to establish their game. And again, obviously we know we're in the Ralph and we need to do that early.
Can you talk about how hard it is this season maybe to finish in that top four of the NCHC? It seems like a lot of people are trying to really inch towards home ice right now.
Yeah, you know what? And again, I think that's obviously one of our first goals is to get home ice advantage in the NCHC playoffs. But, I think, we have 5 weekends left. And I think at the end of the day of picking up points each and every weekend and preferably the maximum amount of points obviously keeps elevating you. But you can't really worry about what's going on around the league here. Like, I know we're in a dogfight right now for top 4. You just got to concentrate on what we have to do, and everything usually falls into place from there, and making sure that we control what we can control.
I know third period goals have been hard to come by for your team, but you saw some life on Saturday. CC is really dominant in the third period, so how important are those final 20 minutes, you think, this weekend?
I think it all starts with the first 5 minutes of a period, right? We always talk about, the end of a period, but certainly at the beginning of a period of establishing your momentum, and I think, momentum starts right away and being ready to go, and I think at the end of the day, if they are, like I said, dominant in the third period, we have to be as well, and we have to be ready to play, especially those first 5 minutes to carry over, and preferably having a lead too.
You talked about that injury bug a little bit earlier, guys, in and out of the lineup. Just to see these guys kind of maybe finding new ways to play with each other at this point in the season, how do you think they're doing with that?
Yeah, I think they're doing really well. I mean, we bounced, more than the last year or so. We've bounced line combinations around, but guys finding a way and chemistry to play with each other. And I thought, for the most part, when we were in St. Cloud last weekend, we had 4 lines that had some chemistry that looked like they had some good plays together as far as making a situation where we can get up and down the ice, good execution, good passes, and I think it's all incumbent upon players too of being flexible and open on doing that too. So when you're put in a structure with our group, everybody knows kind of the structure, what we're doing. It's just a matter of the 3 guys being on the same page on that line, and they've done a good job over the past weekend here.
And year to year, it seems when we hit February, this team has been able to just be in a good spot. What do you feel are the good qualities about this roster, and what are they still maybe searching for at this point in the season?
Yeah, well, like I said, this year, as opposed to last year, we were solidly in a spot, in the standings, obviously winning the Penrose last year in the top 4 for sure, pairwise as well. And now, the motivation is we're fighting. We're grinding here. We're fighting for home ice. We're fighting to get in the top pairwise rankings. And again, concentrating on what we have to do. And I firmly believe those last 2 weeks of practice before we went into St. Cloud were very pivotal for us as far as making some subtle changes and some sacrifices to play to our identity here. And that's what's going to have to happen. We had a great week of practice so far here, very reminiscent of the last 2 weeks. And we have to make sure that we keep our foot on the gas each and every week in practice and leading up to the games.
And you spoke a little bit about Mack there, but can you speak at all to the recruitment process? Was it hard to break those CC ties?
You know what? I think any time that you go for a player that his dad played at a different program, you're always battling that, right? But I think, at the end of the day, you have to prove and you have to show, what we have here at North Dakota, conceptually as a team as far as how we do things on a day-to-day basis, but also the individual as well. I think at the end of the day, we're really trustful and careful people here. We're in Grand Forks, North Dakota, where we're blue collar type of people, and I think it was a situation where Mack, he felt comfortable as far as not only the hockey program, the development side, the winning, but also being around similar-minded players that want to work every day and work towards a successful common goal. And I think at the end of the day, that trumps everything as far as, versus a dad that went to another program. So again, I think he felt comfortable here, and we're sure glad he is here.
Yeah, and he looks comfortable on the ice as well, right? How proud of you are you of those freshmen, including him, to kind of take another step throughout this season?
Well, it's huge, and like we talked about the injuries early, that forces you into giving players extra ice time, their ice time, but probably more than they probably would have had early on. But he's earned that right. Like he's earned every day in practice and in the games. He's produced. He's worked in that situation, and now he doesn't look like a freshman. Like, he looks like a veteran on the ice as far as being calm and under control, and a guy that's leaned on in key situations.